Hey everyone, welcome back to our podcast. How are y'all doing today? So, I hope you got a good right sleep last night because our topic today is very much connected to sleeping. Today we're going to be talking about dreams. Why does our brain bother creating dreams every night when they seem pointless? I just read an article from Scientific American that discussed a new and pretty unconventional theory about this. Here with me, Ola, Brian, and Iris. So everyone is ready?
Ready?
Okay, Sarah, you can up talk tonight.
Absolutely, Arya. This topic is really relevant to my major. I'm studying psychology and I've been really interested in sleep and the brain lately.
I'm really curious too because all this time I only saw dreams we are just random, like mental garbage that spill out while you sleep. Turns out there is actually scientific theory behind it.
Same here, especially science. I have really strange dreams a lot. Sometimes I forget them right after waking up, and sometimes I remember them vivid. The title I'm curious to hear scientific explain for why that happened.
Perfect timing because later we'll also be sharing our own personal experience with dreams. But before we get there, let's break down the core of the article first. Okay, before we get into the main theory, I want to give a broad overview of this article first because there's having already been many theories out there about why we dream. So, Ola, what did those older theories generally say?
Right, Arya. So the article mentions several older theories. Some say dreams are the brain's way of processing our emotions. Others say dreams help the brain solve problems we've been thinking about. And some even say dreams are a reflection of our surprise desires. There are also more technical theories like dream function to clear our mental garbage, consolidate, memorize, or as are simply the brain making random connection between the neural signal into coherent narrative.
Wait, what does making a random connection between neural signal mean exactly? So the brain is basically making up a story from random signal.
More or less, there's a theory that our brain just fires random signals during sleep, and that our creative cortex tries to build a narrative from those random signals. That's why our dreams are often illogical and jump around.
Oh yeah, that's true. My dreams to be all over the place, jumping from the one scene to another completely unrelated one.
Right, but what makes the article interesting is that it doesn't just cover those older theories. There's one new theory that take a very different approach. So, like Iris, you're the science enthusiast there. Why don't you explain the main theory?
So the main theory discussed in the article comes from David Eagleman, a neuroscientist at Stanford University. His idea is that the primary function of dreaming is actually to protect the virtual cortex, the part of the brain that processes visual of information. His theory is based on a concept called neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to change and adapt, where certain brain's area can take over new text when needed.
So, neuron in the brain are basically competing for territory.
Exactly, Eagleman says the brain operator like life or death competition for real estate. Sensory areas in the brain can expand or shrink depending on how accurately they receive input. He says neurons are like neighboring countries, constantly defending their borders so they don't get taken over by their neighbors.
To make it more concrete, the article mentioned children who had their brain removed to the severe illness. Remarkably, the remaining brain reorganized itself and took over the function of the missing part, so the child could still function normally with only half a brain.
Wow, that's the boot bit scary and absolutely amazing. What the brain is capable of.
Yes, and there's another more relatable example in the article: people who lose their sight or hearing. Usually, their other sense like touch or hearing for a blind person become sharper than usual. That's happened because the brain area previously dedicated to processing vision get borrowed by the other sense they are still actively used.
Building on that, Eagleman argues that the visual cortex is actually very vulnerable to being taken over while we sleep. The logic is that when we sleep, our eyes are closed, there is no light coming in, no visual information being processed, while other senses like hearing, smell, and touch can still remain active during sleep. So the tech visual are risk becoming idle and could be taken over by other senses.
Fascinating. But how quickly can that takeover process happen? Ola, do you know about the research?
Yes, the article mentioned research from Harvard Medical School conducted in 2007 and 2008. The research show if someone's eyes are covered with a blindfold, the takeover of the visual cortex by other sense can begin in as little as about 19 minutes. There's even research suggesting the process can start as little as 45 minutes.
That's really fast. It means your brain actually super quick relocating and results, right?
This is the most curious. Why does the 19 minutes Windows also come up when thinking about the REM sleep phase? Like, Iris, can you explain more about REM is?
Sure, normally about 90 minutes after we fall asleep, we enter a sleep phase called REM, which stands for rapid eye movement. This phase begins where nerve calls in the brainstem. The lower part of the brain connect to the spinal cord, send signal to carry out the two important tasks. First, to signal temporarily paralyze our large muscle so we don't basically act out the movement in our dream while sleeping. Second, to signal are also sent directly to the visual cortex and that's what trigger dreaming.
Oh, so for example, we dream we're running. Our body doesn't actually run because our muscles are blocked by signal from the brainstem.
Exactly right. That's why people in ERM sleep look completely still, even though in the daydream they might be in the middle of something very intense.
So according to Eagleman, the approximately 90-minute timing of REM isn't a coincidence. It broadly matches the time it takes for the visual cortex to start being invaded by other senses. If left idle, so the brain has essentially scheduled a reactivation of visual cortex before it can taken over, which is why dream full of visual imagery occur.
So like alarm reminder of your brain. I think that analogy fits perfectly with your gadget have to auto lock screen feature.
Exactly. The article actually used a similar analogy. Dreams are compared to a computer screen saver that automatically actives every so often. The difference is the computer screensaver prevents the screen from burning because of the static image. White dreams prevent the visual cortex from being stolen by other brain functions.
And if you look at the pattern of ERM occurring throughout the night, is consistent with this theory. REM doesn't just appear once, it's recur roughly if every 90 minutes throughout our sleep. So when analyzed, the brain seems to be intentionally scheduling visual cortex protection session multi times in a night, not just once.
Okay, speaking of sleeping patterns, I've heard babies have very different REM proportions compared to adults. Like uh, Iris, do you know about that?
Yes, that's right. The article mentioned that Eagleman says the more plastic or flexible a creature's brain is, the more AM sleeps it needs to defend itself. Human babies have the most plastic brains, so babies can spend almost half of their total sleep time in RAM alone. Compare that to adults whose RAM perturbation is much smaller because the adult brain isn't plastic as it was in infancy.
Also, that's why young children find eraser to learn new language and adults because their brains are the big plasticity.
That is the perfect example. The article actually touched on that too. It says children are better at absorbing new language than adults because their brain are designed to be more addictive at that age.
And if we extend the analysis to other species, the pattern is consistent too. Eagleman says the less hardwired a species' brain is a bird, the more it needs experience to shape itself, the more REM it requires. That's why humans whose brains at birth are still half baked or immature need far more REM sleep than animals whose brain are ready to use from birth.
So, what does ready to use from birth mean exactly?
It's like there are cults they can walk within hours of being born because the behavior is already hardwired into their brains. Unlike human babies, whose brains are far more adaptable, but the trade-off is that we need much longer to learn basic things like walking or talking.
Well, what's interesting trade-off? So, like a more flexible brain is better if long learning, but you pay for it more sleep and REM time when you are young.
Speaking of dreams, this remind me of something from my semester exams. The night before an exams, I dreamed I was sitting in the exam hall and the question was incredibly hard. I was sweating in a dream. Then the next day, in the actual exam, some of the questions turned out to be similar to what I dreamed about. It was strange. I'd never seen those questions before.
I often dream about things choose experience. For example, after watching horror movie, Lil definitely scary dreams that night. Or after playing video games all day, I dream I'm actually inside the game with all the details.
That's what I think is actually slightly different from Engelmann's theory. If the theory is only about defending visual theory that explain why we needed to dream in general, but it doesn't explain why dream content can be so specific and connect to our daily experience. So there seem to be other factors at play beyond just protecting the visual cortex.
Good point, Iris. Ola, in your view, is there a connection between Eagleman theory and the specific content of our dream like that?
Actually, Eagleman himself doesn't rule that out. The article mentions he says his theory can coexist with other explanation for dreaming. So it's possible the visual cortex does need to be switched on every 90 minutes to protect its territory, but the actual content, the dream could be influenced by other things like short-term memories, emotion, or reason experience similar to what Lintang described.
Oh, so the analogy is kind of like the visual cortex is the projection screen that so be turned on at certain interval, but the movie being played on that screen is determined by other part of the brain that process our memories and emotion.
In my opinion, the phenomenon of lucid dreaming is interesting to connect this visual cortex theory because it shows that during REM, our brain truly very active in the areas that process imagery and consciousness, not just resting.
I've also personally experienced what's called a lucid dream. And I become aware I was dreaming and could somewhat control the storyline. It was a very strange experience, like being half conscienceless.
Wow, that's amazing, Mahomie. I never had lucid dream myself.
Okay, we've discussed the theory in quite some detail, but it seems not all experts agree with Eagleman theory. Ola, do you know more about criticisms?
Yes, Arya, the article mentioned a dream researcher from University of Montreal named Antonio Zadra is quite harsh in criticizing this theory. He says Eagleman's theory doesn't touch much on dream itself, and in his view, it doesn't explain anything about the meaning of dreams, but only explain the REM phase. He even says that the theory is oversimplified, overly reductionist, his view and that of many of the researchers in the field. There is one piece of evidence involves an animal called the blind mole rat. This animal is completely blind from birth, yet it still experiences REM sleep phase. This creates a gap in Eagleman's theory. If the function of REM to protect the visual cortex, why would an animal that has no vision at all still need REM?
I don't think that automatically invalidate the theory. It could just be an evolutionary legacy from this animal is axanthars who could once see like a vertical organ, a remnant of a trait what was once useful but no longer significantly functional. So I don't think it directly refutes Eggman is under theory.
What about opinions of experts is symptoms are more neutral of even fairly supportive.
Yes, there's a psychologist from Harvard named Deirdre Lake Barrett. She's a former president of the International Association for the Study of Dreams. She's more open to considering Eagleman's theory. She says she's fairly convinced there a correlation between animals with a greater intelligence or more complex brain and more elaborate REM sleep patterns, but she remains somewhat skeptical about the especially visual part of the argument, though she still calls it an interesting theory or worth considering.
So, like, is Evan thought the theory is interesting and the data supporting it is doesn't have to be the only reason we dream. Similar to the other theories we mentioned at the beginning about dreams processing emotion or cleaning about memory garbage, right?
Okay, so to summarize this segment, Eagleman says the dreams serve to protect our visual context from being taken over by the other sense during sleep, which is why REM and visual dreaming occur roughly every 19 minutes like an automatic screensaver. But this theory is still debated about like researchers like Jedros said it only explained the BEM phase, not the meaning of the dreams directly. The blind mole read present and unanswered question, and research like Barrett are neutral, partially agreeing but partially skeptical. Now let's try to bring into a more practical context. So it's not all just theory. For you, think it's understanding that theory changes how you view sleep.
I think rather than just accepting one theory as absolute truth, it's better to see this as complementary to the other theories that already exist because the brain is incredibly complex. So it makes sense for multiple ventilation to be running simultaneously during sleep, not just one. What is clear is that research like this is really important to support which we can better understand how to the human brain works. And I think we should all be more open to following development research like this going forward.
Total agree with Iris and regardless with whether the theory is right or not, the fact that our brain works or hard overnight to protect and regularize itself is really amazing in itself. I make me appreciate the process sleeping more, not just saying the empty time.
From my perspective as a psychology student, this actually makes me more aware of the importance of getting enough sleep, especially for children and teenagers whose brains are still very plastic and need a lot of REM passes for optimal development. It makes me think so many teenagers today stay up late because of their phones, and that could be disrupting their REM cycles, which are actually crucial for their brain development.
That's so true. Back in high school, I used to stay up late for a lot of homework or gaming. And in the morning, my body felt so heavy and I had trouble concentrating in class. Now, after hearing your explanation, I understand better why the effect can be that severe. My brain probably wasn't getting enough time for its visual cortex protection phase.
Yes, and when analyzed further, that's also consistent with other research on sleep definition we saw it can describe memory, conversation, and even mood. So even though Eagleman's theory is especially about the visual cortex, it more broadly support the wider argument about the importance of maintaining adequate sleep each night.
Okay, thank you so much. Hola, Iris.